So, let's see, figure 14.9. If you look here, this is page 291. We've got some diatonic progressions. So we've got 5, 7 to 6. Oops. So here's our typical 5, 7 chord to 6. All right? And when we're dealing with a leading tone 7th chord, basically how we're going to switch it is this G sharp suddenly becomes that. And now this is no longer a 5, 7 chord, right? So we went from an octave lower. Right? And then naturally we would resolve it right to 6. Right? But when we add this G sharp in, changes it totally. It becomes diminished now. All right? So this G sharp cuts everything out. Right? So it's fully diminished. All right? But it's still going to resolve the same way to the 6. So up to A. All right? So this suddenly becomes a 7, diminished 7 of 6. All right? Oh, again, we're in the key of C major. So the 6th chord of C major, so the 6th chord in C major is a D chord, right? Wait, A, sorry. So we've got A, C, E. So this is our natural 6th chord. Oops. All right? And then now, normally what we had earlier was G, B, D, F. Right? Nice G, B, D, F. Nice big 5 chord, very clear. But when we add this G sharp, suddenly it becomes a problem. Right? And now we've got to figure out where in the key of C major this is going to fall. All right? And usually, whatever the tonic is going to be the raised or lowered pitch, the one that's going to be out of the diatonic system. So that's a big clue as to whether it's a 7 or a 5. So in this case, we've got to figure out what the 7th is. Right? So we've got our C major scale. All right? Same old. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1. All right? Now here's our 6th chord. Why do I write this as 4? I'm an idiot. It's supposed to be 6s. I don't know what is going on tonight. All right, all 6s. All right, so we know that this is not a 5 of something because when we analyze it, what do we get? We get G sharp to B, right? That's a minor third. And then B to D. So we've got G sharp to B, minor third, and then B to D, B natural to D natural, still a minor third, and then D to F, also a minor third, right? So it's all made of minor thirds stacked on top of each other, or 2 tritones. Either way, we know this sucker is diminished, and it also doesn't fit in the key, all right? So it's got to be something. Because our only diminished chord that we can have in C major starts on a B, right? So we've got B, D, F, A. This is the one that naturally diatonically fits. This one doesn't, all right? So we know something's up. So we know it's going to be the 7th of something. It's either going to be the 5th or the 7th. In this case, we know it's the 7th because it's diminished. If it were a major minor chord or a major chord, it would be considered a 5th. All right? So now we find the 7th. We find our G sharp. And we compare it, right? So we go along. G sharp to C, not a 7th. D to G sharp, not a 7th. E to G sharp, no. F to G sharp, no. G to G sharp, definitely no. And then finally, A to G sharp. There we go. That's our major 7th, right? So A, C, E. So it's a major 7th away from A. All right? And then based on this A minor scale, which we'll pop down here and put, so we know it has to be either the melodic or harmonic. It can't be natural. So our A harmonic minor or melodic minor doesn't make a difference. We'll call it A melodic. We'll call it A mellow harmonic. A mellow harm. All right? So here's A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, right? If we raise the 6th and 7th, there's melodic. So that G sharp fits right in, all right? Just like that. And then we can build our chord off of that. So it's going to be G sharp, whoops. So G sharp, B, D, F. Does that match our other chord? Yes, it does. Boom. All right. So the way we figure this out, we're temporarily in the 6th note, right? Or the 6th tonicization, right? So that's A. So we're going to call it, the number on the bottom is going to be 6. And then we know that it's functioning as the 7th of that 6th. So it's going to be the 7th step, right? Got it. It's going to be functioning as the 7th step in the 6th step within the key of C, all right? So we call it 7. And in this case, It's in root position, so 7, 7 of 6. All right? So this is basically what secondary dominants and secondary leading tones are. Let's see. Let's see if I'm missing anything at all. Otherwise, also same thing goes. These leading tone, secondary leading tones are going to be, when they resolve, they're going to resolve to their tonicization. So again, like we showed here, it's going to be 7, 6, 7 of 6, and then it's going to go 2, 6. Like that's how it's going to resolve. If it's 7 of 2, it's going to resolve to 2, etc., just like with secondary dominants. Let's see. Again, you may get other leading tone chords, so it'll go into another secondary sort of cycle. And again, same deal, it's going to go into, what do you call it? A circle progression. So same rules apply. Let's see. I don't think there's anything else. They talk a little bit about macro analysis, which is useful to do sort of just plugging out. Macro analysis, which they refer to, is not using Roman numerals, it's just calling it what it is. So in this case, this would be A minor, all right? That's all you call it. And you don't even have to put the minor, you just put A. And then here you call it G sharp diminished 7, like that. All right? So this one looks super crazy. Probably some sort of secondary dominant or leading tone chord. I'm not going to do too much of that because honestly it's not that useful. And then later in the chapter they talk about in 14.6 yeah, I'm not going to worry about the macro analysis stuff. You guys shouldn't worry about it either. They talk a lot about history and how it's used in music. Go for it. Read some of that stuff. I'm not going to go over it. So let's get right down to it. What I want you to do is get some practice building these chords. All right? So you're going to do assignment 14.1 and 14.2, which is leading tone and secondary dominance. So secondary leading tone chords, and basically you're just going to build them up. So let's do a couple from 14.1.